Why do people daily these things?
Because they're trying to make a statement.
You think?
Yeah.
I agree with you because it can't be anything practical.
There's no reason. Hey everyone, welcome back to Gear Glazers. I'm Kyle, and this is Mike, aka Mickey Split. And today we're continuing our Trail Titan series with none other than the Jeep Gladiator. Mike, talk to me.
The Gladiator.
I've actually heard that a couple times.
You have to pronounce it weird because I think it's owned by like Fiat and some other conglomerate from who knows where. So
yeah,
it's
that
definitely
makes sense.
not Gladiator.
So, like, obviously we're going to jump into it and talk about the differences between the Gladiator and the Wrangler. But for a moment, I just wanted to touch on the fact that, like, they're very similar, obviously. Mm-hmm. And, like, the Wrangler has so much heritage. Like, I know that I said the Raptor was the OG, but, like, this is actually the OG.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when you think off-road vehicle, like, Jeep is Kleenex. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
it's that brand name. It's Band-Aid.
It is a household brand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not to say the Gladiator doesn't have heritage, though. I think that truck came out in, 60-something?
Yeah, there's an old one, but, like, you never think about that. Most people don't even know that existed.
Yeah, everybody thinks of, like, the Willys Jeep or, like, heritage going back to, like, the Army days.
Yeah, I didn't know that it existed until we were doing this episode.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that there was a Gladiator before this.
Yeah, I always liked the classic Gladiator truck, so I got really excited when they brought this thing back, and then immediately unexcited as soon as I understood, like, the performance specs.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So we've actually got some experience with Jeep Wranglers, quite a bit. And one of the most fun times was when we were in the Florida Everglades, out in the swampland, and we had like 7-8 of our friends in a Jeep Wrangler, top off, doors off, just literally, knee high in water, essentially. Like, it was the most fun day of all time.
The dream. Like, what that car, the actual perfect use case of it.
Yeah, and we want to tell the Michael B story?
Oh, bro. All right, so I'm driving this thing, and 7 people in the back. Everybody's all hanging out of the open roof, and then this bee flies into the car while we're booking it through like the marshland, the like open marshland, and I'm like trying to keep it cool and like swatting it away, but like it's literally in my eyes, and before I know it, I'm like turning like that. There's a tree right in front of me, so. I can say one positive thing about the performance of the Jeep Wrangler. I was able to avoid a tree at about 30 miles an hour driving through, like, muddy marshland.
Someone says, "Yo, Michael, there's a bee," and he just literally floors it. And everyone in the back just gets mud to the face. Like, the whole vehicle just goes sideways. Like, it was a scene. But that's the kind of fun that you can have in a Jeep.
It was a good time.
Yeah. So, this thing has a longer and wider wheelbase than a Wrangler. That's supposed to make it more comfortable on the road. What do you think about
that? Whatever it's trying to do to be comfortable on the road, it has not achieved.
I also, you already know how I feel about this. Like, I don't want you to water it down. Like, it's a Jeep. I want it to be an off-road vehicle. I'm okay with it feeling a little bit stiff. But yeah, like, even in the Wrangler, and this one shares the same bones, obviously, like, these things have drain plugs in them.
Right.
You pull the carpets out, and you literally pull a plug, and your car just drains. I mean, like, this is a serious off-roader. This is not something that you, like, take on some trail. This is something you can fully go in a swamp with. Like.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And that's why I don't really get, like, when they try to do things for the sake of, like, optimizing comfort, especially things that come at the cost of, weight savings or things that could really matter for the off-road performance, because this thing from the jump is not going to be comfortable because of the things like drain plugs and the removable doors and the open air feeling, and like the reason that you would actually consider buying this over something else. Those are the exact reasons that this is not going to be fun to drive on the highway. Those big tires are going to be loud. Yeah. There's no sound deadening whatsoever because there's drain plugs. So it's kind of like the wheelbase must have been for another reason, or they're just completely misguided when they're trying to make this thing.
Well, it's also a pickup.
Yeah.
And that's going to come very naturally with a pickup truck. Like, it's just going to have a little bit of a longer and wider wheelbase, I feel like, than like the SUV counterpart.
That makes sense. Because it's also a really short truck bed. So it's like they had to compromise. So, they maybe had to push it a little bit longer to stick a truck bed in there, because they did also maintain keeping it the 4-door Wrangler instead of like mounting the truck bed on the back of a 2-door Wrangler and then putting it on a 4-door frame.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I just want to come out and say it, like, the Gladiator looks weird to me.
Really?
Yeah. It looks weird to me. Like, I prefer the Wrangler. And I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to compare those things, but I just wanted to get out in front of it and say, like, yeah, this is a weird-looking thing. You don't think so? You think this thing just, in its own right, shines?
I think Wranglers are ugly. So, I think this is like a vast improvement over what a Wrangler looks like. I think it's actually like actualizing that car and showing what it could look like fully as a utility vehicle. Because a Wrangler, like a 4-door Wrangler, which is the one I prefer, it's like, what are you even using the back of that thing for? Like, why are you even putting things on the interior? This, you can mount external fuel cells. You can throw tools in the back, extra tires. Like, it seems so much more purpose-built for what they say that Wranglers are for.
You said the Miata was gorgeous.
Objectively, yeah.
You said the Wrangler is disgusting.
Yeah.
What does that tell you about yourself? Think about that for a second.
Well, I like this thing, so, you know, add some nuance to the argument.
Fair enough. This is a convertible.
Is it a convertible? Mm-hmm. So does it come in the Jeep soft top variant?
It does.
That's really interesting.
And this one you can take the top off also, but like I don't know if this is the only convertible pickup truck. It might be. Which is kind of insane.
We got to call the Australians about that one. I'm sure they got something for us.
Well, yeah, convertible pickup truck is something that like you do not hear. Like this Jeep is like kind of trying to do everything at once.
Yeah.
And you would say it's succeeding.
No. I mean, here's the thing. It's hard to hate the Jeep. The Jeep has so much like heritage. It is objectively fun for all the reasons that we talked about. Like those memories are, you know, you can't really achieve that with other cars like that. But these things don't line up against the modern pickup truck or even the modern off-road SUV models. Like they really don't meet their competition. I don't know if that's a failure on Jeep's part. I don't know if technology's outpaced them. I don't know if they've abandoned these product lines because they aren't making them money. I don't know what the reason is, but as much as you want to love these cars, you can't recommend them.
So it's got to be powertrain. Hear me out. You think about it and like it doesn't jump to mind immediately, but like you said, you like the way the Gladiator looks. I like the way the Wrangler looks. Timeless design.
Sure.
The inside used to be not the best, but now, honestly, it's much better. We'll see the inside of this car at some point in the episode. The suspension is fine. If you've ever been off-roading in this thing, you know that you are comfortable. Like, this thing is at home. Water, rocks, mud, whatever. What's wrong with it? It's underpowered. It's been the same V6 Pentastar engine since forever.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to be like, all you care about is horsepower. But seriously, like, I think if this car... Okay, so you love the Wrangler 392.
The Wrangler 392 is objectively badass, yeah.
If this had a 392 engine in it, a lot of your qualms would be solved. Which is just a Hemi engine. High horsepower.
This is a thing I've been thinking about a lot since we've started the Trail Titans series, though. It's like, for a lot of people, what we're doing is essentially recommending them one car over another, and most people can only have one car. So while we love cars for what they do, like for all the specifics that they try to meet, I think it's really, really hard to recommend this over something like a 4Runner that also has a naturally aspirated V6 in it, makes a very similar amount of power, but it's just going to be way more comfortable, very similarly capable, get better gas mileage, and is infinitely more reliable.
Yeah, I definitely hear where you're coming from, but, like, again, this is a Jeep. And, like, we're going to talk about the 4Runner, but, like, it's a household name, man. Some people just want a Jeep.
How long is that going to be a thing
Forever.
before Jeep just ruins its name just off being worse than its competitors?
That's a good question, and we definitely are looking past it. We definitely are just, like, turning a blind eye and being like, it's a Jeep. You know, what do you want? I don't know. I don't know, but I'll tell you this. You're getting the Bronco back.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bronco has some sick packages.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, at some point, and I mean, they put the 392 out. I think they kind of missed the mark a little. Like, it's a cool car, but, like, No one's really going crazy about it. TRX, massive success. 392, like, who cares?
Yeah.
So they've got to figure something out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I think that you're right in saying that at some point, the brand name's not going to do it anymore.
Yeah. I do think, on a more positive note, that we're seeing Jeep do the things that companies do before they do a major overhaul.
Mm-hmm.
They're trimming down the number of models. They're trimming down the number of powertrains. They're doing slight incremental updates for like a long period of time. So I do think a revival is coming. Maybe, like,
Revival.
I don't know if it's going to be for the Gladiator, but the Wrangler and whatever other iterations of the Wrangler exist. Yeah, I think something good is probably coming.
I agree. All right, well, without further ado, I'll go ahead and jump into my segment.
Okay, let's do it.
So, my segment for today is sponsored by the Jeep Wrangler. You said you wanted a pickup. Question number 1. And this one I want to talk about a little bit. It's what we touched on, but like I just want to get it right here in front of it. Would you take the Gladiator or the Wrangler?
I'd take a Gladiator if I have to have a Jeep, yeah.
I would take a Wrangler with my eyes, like, closed, dude. No questions, I would take a Wrangler.
Why?
I think it looks better. I think it's more true to, like, what a Jeep is. Like, this is trying to be a Jeep and a pickup truck. Like, a Wrangler is dedicated off-road SUV vehicle.
Aren't they, like, essentially the same thing?
Well, no, like, you have to do some things to make something a pickup truck, and this isn't just a Jeep Wrangler with a bed. This is, like, legitimately a mid-size pickup. Like, it can actually tow, like, at least with certain packages. Like we said, the wheelbase, the ground clearance, like, this is a different animal, and you're just going to be way more comfortable in a Wrangler off-road. I also think it's just cooler to ride around in.
I mean, the open air experience, there, like, we'll talk about that a lot, but it's something to be said. Is really cool to have people in the back seat, like, out with their head out the top of the car, sure. But I was under the impression that because there were so many compromises made to fit the truck bed there, it's a small truck bed, the towing capacity is not great. The towing capacity is almost half of competition at the same exact price. I figured this was just a Jeep Wrangler with a truck bed.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not, though. It rides different. It feels different. Like,
huh.
That's what I'm saying. It looks like it should be.
If you get down to brass tacks and technicalities, and this thing can't, you know, from the factory do the things that Jeep Wrangler can do, like, it can't literally crawl through 6 feet of river. Like, if it can't do those things, sure, I'm down to hear out the argument that the Wrangler is better. But if this can get there too, man, like, give me the truck bed. I want that utility.
Okay. All right. Are you taking the Jeep Gladiator or an F-150? And I want to compare, like, the Rubicon versus, like, the Tremor package of the F-150.
The Rubicon versus an F-150 Tremor. Okay, so it's a hard question because I personally take the F-150 because I'm not going to be doing crazy off-road things probably most of the time. I'm going to more want a car that's, like, optimized for the road with off-road capabilities. If you're somebody who's genuinely going to have this thing covered in mud for 90% of its life, probably get the Gladiator.
Yeah, you see, I'm taking the F-150. I'm taking the Tremor pack. But I'm taking a Rubicon Wrangler over the F-150 Tremor. Like, that shows you where I stand. But yeah, I think the F-150 is, like, again, it's, like, good at what it does, which is being a pickup.
Well, the Rubicon Wrangler is a competitor for the Raptor, isn't it? Not the Tremor.
No, the Rubicon Wrangler is like $50,000.
Oh, you're not talking about the Rubicon Wrangler 392?
No.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Fair enough.
Okay. Next question. Who's the driver of this car? It's gonna be a fun one.
The Jeep Gladiator. You know what's funny? I see the Jeep Wrangler is like a younger dude. Like it's like a high school kid, like probably grew up somewhere like out in the suburbs. Their family has a ranch.
Yeah.
This is that kid's dad. He has like a white goatee. You know what I mean? He's wearing wearing like a Carhartt shirt. Maybe something a little bit more like deep in the cut than Carhartt. Maybe like DeWalt or something.
Yeah.
That's
what does he do for work?
For work, that's a general contractor. Hard hat in the passenger seat, 1000%.
That's good. Honestly, that's pretty similar to what I picture as well.
What'd you have?
No. I think literally like blue collar work, like definitely like 40s, 50s. I just don't think this is a car you get in your 20s.
Yeah, no.
For the most part.
This is blue collar bougie. This is blonde wife ranch house.
Okay, well, it's a very specific picture, but yeah, there will be some kid that's 20 years old in our comments on Instagram saying, "What are you talking about? I have to go out here. I love it." Like, but for the most part, like, I think this is an older person's car.
Yeah. Why do people daily these things?
Because they're trying to make a statement.
You think?
Yeah.
I agree with you because it can't be anything practical.
There's no reason. If you want a pickup truck, you can go get a pickup truck that's cheaper than this, that's more reliable than this, that's been around longer than this, so you can count on it. Like, there's a strong community. Like, it looks better than this. I think you drive this thing because you need a pickup truck, but you kind of want to make that Jeep statement.
Yeah, I think I agree, dude. It can't be comfort. It can't be performance. It really can't be like towing capacity or anything like that. Yeah. It almost seems like a daily driver for somebody who has a second car.
Oh, you know, I have heard that. Like, a couple of the people I've talked to that have this car, it is their second car. But I think there's some people that literally just, again, like, you need a mid-size pickup, and you're like, oh, I've always wanted a Jeep.
All right. Would you change your mind about the Gladiator if it came with the 392 engine?
If it came with the 392 engine, I would like it, but I would still prefer the Wrangler.
Really?
Yes. But if it came with, 392 is so ridiculous. Just give me a V8.
Sure.
Just give me whatever, I don't know, honestly, whatever Dodge's equivalent of a 5.0 Coyote is. Throw one of those in there, and we're good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they have that naturally aspirated 6, what is it? Well, the 392 just is a Hemi, is it not? It's not like supercharged or anything.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that is their equivalent. They don't do 5.0s, they just do the 6.2 Power Stroke. Yeah, so 6.4. I mean, there's also an angle to put like the Cummins motor in this.
Yeah.
That diesel.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Blah, blah.
Honestly, even a big diesel in one of these things would be awesome. Like,
yeah.
There's a shop in Miami called SoFlo Jeeps. You guys have probably seen it. Like, it's like the 6x6 Jeeps. Those things come with a diesel option. That's sick.
You can do the Gladiator 6x6, right?
I don't know. I haven't seen those, but I'm sure they're making them. But I would take a big diesel engine in this. That'd be sick.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I mean, I think they're getting rid of it for the 24 model, but they have a turbocharged 6-cylinder. They call it Eco Diesel. That's kind of a cool engine. I haven't heard too much about it. I don't know what other cars it's in, but if I did want like a turbo diesel engine in a truck, I think this might be one of your only American options.
Yeah, it's just very sad.
Yeah.
There's no replacement for displacement, and like, they're just dying.
Yeah.
They're just dying.
Oh no, across the board we're just starting to see like trucks replaced with like 4-cylinder and hybrid, and
it's terrible.
Oh man. All right. So, let's jump into my segment, Glaze This, Not That, presented by Monster Energy.
Okay.
Kyle's Rejoice. Monster Energy sponsored this podcast because we have a Kyle. We do have a Kyle. That was their condition.
Yep. They're doing that Kyle meetup over there in whatever that is.
In Kyle, Texas.
Kyle, Texas.
Yeah, the largest meetup of Kyle's.
Everyone in my life sends me that meme. They're like, dude, you got to go to this. I'm like, I'm trying to stay as far away from that place as I can.
I intentionally did not send you that because I knew 500 people sent it to you.
You know Kyle's, and you know that is not a good idea to go there. It's too many.
Well, if you did want to see some Jeep Wranglers, that's where they're going to be at.
True.
On whatever date that's happening. All right. So, in Glaze This, Not That, again, I can't recommend this thing, but what I can recommend is a Ford Ranger or a Tacoma at any trim level. Whatever trim level you're going to get this Jeep Gladiator at, you can take the Ranger or the Tacoma, add the 4x4 package to it, and you will be there.
You know, I agree. And it's so interesting because when we make videos about cars, the way that this works is that the algorithms pick up our keywords, like on Instagram. They pick up the keywords of our clips and they serve it to thousands of people who have this car or love this car. And all we're ever doing is telling people they should buy something else, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's tough. Like, the first impression is just like, these guys are just taking a dump on my car.
Yeah.
Like, but, yeah, maybe we should have been called Gear Haters instead of Gear Glazers. But here's the thing. We hate on certain cars.
Right.
and then glaze other ones.
Also,
gotta stay true.
We don't necessarily have to be the Gear Glazers. Sometimes the viewer is the Glazer.
That's all the time.
It's a community. It's facts.
100% of the time.
That is the universal truth. So, glaze this, not that. I'm inclined to recommend either the Ranger or the Tacoma. With this, I'm more inclined to recommend the Tacoma because the Jeep Gladiator is one of the few trucks that you can get with a manual transmission still, and the other being the Toyota Tacoma. So, if you need the manual transmission to Toyota Tacoma, but realistically, go with whichever one that the dealership is not marking up by $15,000.
Yeah, another thing that the comments just will not stop. Dealer markups. They suck. Everyone knows that. Like, I don't know when this started happening, but now on every car, like, we thought it was going to be a COVID thing. We're still here.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. Jerome Powell won't cut the interest rates. So
what does he drive?
That's what I'm wondering, dude. Put Jerome Powell in one of these. Have him pay some dealer markups.
Oh, all right, well, without further ado, the Glaze score.
All right.
What do you got? Well, real quick, I always say design. I'm like, oh, I'm looking at the interior, but then I like forget performance. So like, let me just make sure I remember. But like, look at this thing. That red trim on the inside, I think, is new for the Rubicon. I like that. I think that's a big improvement. I mean, it's nothing special. The Jeep is not supposed to be, but this is a big improvement over the older ones. Like, I get in this, and I'm like, yeah, this is rugged. Like, I like this. I think this is kind of cool.
That center console, that unit, the touchscreen, looks like that thing that the dude from Jurassic Park lost and got eaten by the T-Rex.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. I think it's styled beautifully. Like, I think it looks good. The issue with the interior is that it's just not comfortable and is loud. And,
Yeah. Backseat spacious. Okay, cool. So, what do you got for design?
Design, 6. My notes are cool. Obviously, I like it a little more than a Wrangler. I give a Wrangler a 5.
Okay, I gave it a 4. And that's tough because I do like the Wrangler. I would have given the Wrangler much better of a score. Dude, I just think this thing kind of ruins it. I think it looks like a small, weird version of the Wrangler. Doesn't have a tire on the back. Like, I'm like, what's happening here? Like, the proportions are all off. It's like wonky alternate universe Wrangler to me.
It is missing a tire on that truck bed there.
Yeah, like...
Where's the spare tire?
Underneath.
Oh, I don't like that.
Like, I'm telling you. So, yeah, I had to go with 4.
Yeah, that's fair.
Performance, what do you got?
7. It's just gold standard for off-roading. You're not going to have more fun.
Yeah, so 6 for me.
Yeah.
And it would have been higher had it been the Wrangler. Give me a shorter wheelbase. Give me a little bit more ground clearance. Like, I think the Wrangler is the gold standard. I think this takes it down just a notch to be a pickup. But, I mean, pretty similar.
Yeah, fair.
All right, value. What do you got?
All right. Value, I put 2.
What? That's actually...
What's
the price of this car?
It's about 40. It's like 38 base, but nobody's going to get that model.
So the Rubicon is 50.
Yeah.
How? How'd you get it to 2? How is this the worst value car? This is the worst value car you've ever rated?
This is the worst value car I've ever rated.
How's that possible?
Of the competition, if take the cars that you compare this to directly, it is so much worse than them. It is just way worse. I browsed the forums for these things. This car only came out a few years ago. The forums are riddled with reliability issues. People talking about all sorts of components breaking that should have been, worked out of naturally aspirated engines in like 2001. Like, this thing is unreliable. It is terribly slow. The engine is super, super dated. I love it. I love Jeep, but dude, I can't ever recommend somebody to buy this.
Yeah, but like, if you have 50 grand, you do realize this car will do whatever you need to do. You can put things in the truck bed. You can literally have a full, like, family in the car. You can drive it on highways. You can drive around town. You can literally go off-road anywhere. Like, for $50,000, you can do that. Like, the Civic is like, you know what I mean? Like, how is this a 2?
I don't think it's doing anything that a Tacoma can't get you better.
I agree with that, but like in its own lane, it still is a very capable car for not that much money.
Dude, I I just have to have some score on this reflect how unchoosable this car is, because all of the other scores are solid.
That's crazy.
And the value one is the one I chose to bomb it with.
That's crazy. All right, well, you succeeded. I'm scared. Perception. What do you got for this?
Perception, I gave it a 6. I think people.
I don't understand how your mind works sometimes. Like, 2 for value, 6 for perception.
Because I can say that this is a cool car and I'm glad it exists, but I can also say don't buy this thing.
So who's seeing this and going, "Oh man"?
I think a lot of people. I think Jeeps are one of those cars, and you've said this before.
I think Jeeps are one of those cars too. I just think the Gladiator is just a little bit weird.
That's the thing, you know what I mean? Like it's I think it's a little better perception. It depends who you ask. Maybe it's a little worse perception but at the end of the day, it's just like a Jeep. It's like nobody's gonna be like, that's a rich guy, that's a poor guy. They're gonna be like, that's a Jeep guy.
Yeah, I give it a 4. I think the Gladiator makes a big difference. I think it just looks like, okay, let me explain what I'm trying to say. You know when you see a base Jeep Wrangler Sport, and then you see a Rubicon on 37-inch wheels and a light bar, and it literally looks like it costs double the money? That's the effect this thing has, in my opinion, in the reverse. It looks smaller, it looks less capable, like it looks less aggressive, and so I think that drops the perception a little bit, and just generally makes it feel like it's worth less.
Dude, I think you see these things kitted out less frequently, and that's why.
Well, yes, but like, I think if you compare the Rubicon of this stock to the Wrangler Rubicon, I think you lose some points. Because it is just a little bit less aggressive of a car.
I suppose, but it's also like bigger and it has like more angles to it. Like I feel like a lot of people are going to look at that and think that makes it more valuable.
I don't know.
Either way, I gave it solid for perception. Hopefully, at the end of the day, it makes up for that terrible value score.
Yeah, that was crazy. You really sent this car on the value. It's wild.
I gave it solid marks for everything else, though.
All right, guys. Well, with that said, that's the Jeep Gladiator. Let us know if you like it. Let us know if you prefer it over the Wrangler. Interesting car, and I will say this. I'm happy that it exists, because these days, we just want car companies to do something exciting, do something new. Jeep coming out with a pickup, like, I'll take it.
Yeah. At the end of the day, dude, it comes in manual. It's a Jeep. It's going to be good off-roading. I wish that they had made some different powertrain decisions. I think you hit the nail on the head. That really could save this thing.
Definitely. But yeah, with that said, thanks for watching, guys.
Is Jeep one of the companies that can, like, committed to being fully electric? Like,
I don't know.
I
didn't even want to talk about it.
I think they did do the full commit to like super we're going entirely electric, and now that occurs to me, like, why they haven't updated their powertrain in like a decade.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't even have that in me. It's just sad.
That's funny.
Just heartbreaking.